Rambam. We are, believe it or not, doing the laws of Passover, right after Passover. You can never pass over Passover because it's always there. Tim, you let people in, please. Okay, chapter 2, Chametz Umatzah. The laws of Chametz, leavened, Umatzah, of matzah, unleavened bread. Okay, it is a positive scriptural commandment to destroy chametz before the time it becomes forbidden to be eaten. You have to destroy it. Now, you only have to destroy that which is yours. If you sold it, then it's not yours, right? Then it's not yours. But if it's yours when it comes the time to destroy, you have a scriptural commandment to destroy it, right? Those are the 10 pieces that we leave over, right? That we put into a fire. But otherwise, yeah. So it becomes forbidden, as it states, on the first day, destroy leaven from your homes. On the basis of the oral tradition, it's derived that the first day refers to the day of the 14th, right? Because first day, what does first day usually mean? The day of the holiday. That would mean the 15th that would mean already the day of Passover. So, but oral tradition has taught us that that first day does not mean on the 15th because it's already Pesach. It means on the eve of Pesach, 14th. Right. Huh? That's before we had the Seder. Exactly. Which are already on that day, we're already doing things for Passover, like the Paschal Lamb offering, and so on. Proof of this matter is in the verse, the Torah says, do not slaughter the blood of my sacrifice with chametz. Do not sacrifice the Pesach sacrifice while chametz exists in your possession. The slaughter of the Pesach sacrifice was on the 14th after midday. So we see already that the 14th after midday is already connected with Passover itself, in as much as you can't have chametz. Well, therefore the first day means the 14th. Exactly. Otherwise, we'd have a problem. It would be a contradiction because it says, my sacrifice don't have it with chametz. My sacrifice means the Paschal Lamb offering, but that's brought on the 14th after midday. So you can't have chametz. Oh, but it says burn your chametz on the first day. That sounds like afterwards. No, it's not afterwards. It's before that. Right. Right.
So 9 days.
Okay. What is the destruction to which the Torah refers? To nullify chametz within one's heart, and to consider it as dust, and to resolve within the heart that he possesses no chametz at all. All the chametz in his possession being as dust and as no thing of no value whatsoever. Right. Now, we're talking biblically, right? Biblically, what is it? Right? We have to forget about what we do, right? Because the Rambam goes in an order. He's always explaining the biblical law, then he'll go into the rabbinic law, then he'll go into the custom, if there's custom, right? So that's important to keep in mind, right? So biblically, it's enough to destroy the chametz by nullifying it, by considering it as dust of the earth. In other words, it's ownerless. Now, number 3, according to the sages, they decreed that the mitzvah involves searching for chametz in hidden places. So the night before, right? The night before the Passover Seder, we do the search for the chametz, right? Custom is we put 10 pieces. That's according to the Arizal, a custom, right? Rambam's not going to say that because Arizal came 500 years after him. So, but the search of the chametz, that's our rabbinic law, that's in the Talmud. So what do? We search for in hidden places and in holes within our house, seeking it and removing it from all of one's domain. Similarly, according to the sages' decree, you must search with the intent to destroy chametz by candlelight at night, at the beginning of the night of the 14th. The institute to search for the chametz because all the people are at home at night, and the light of the candle is good for searching. The study session should not be fixed at the end of the 13th of Nisan. Right? In other words, don't go study that night. You gotta search for chametz. So anyway, a wise man should not begin to study at this time, lest he become involved, and thus he be prevented from searching for the chametz at the beginning of that time designated for the search. Give me just 1 second.
Roll, on wafer roll, looking for little brown cookies.
All right. Sorry for the delay. Okay. So number 4, we do not need to search for chametz by the light of the moon, the light of the sun, or the light of a torch, only by the light of a candle. To what does this apply? To the holes in the hidden places. However, for the porch, which has much sunlight, searching it by light of the sun is sufficient. By the way, this is back in the day, right? What did they have? The most they had was kerosene lights, right? No electricity. However, even though our custom, for the most part, is that we do this today also by candle. However, for a porch, okay, the middle of the courtyard does not need to be searched because birds are found there and they eat all the chametz that falls there, right? So, for example, when we do the search, like, let's in the middle of the floor over here. You don't need to search in the middle of the floor over here. Why? Because you cleaned it. You've cleaned that, and you're not, but underneath over here, there could have been a candy bar that fell underneath over there. So you would search, for example. I mean, this is a public place, so it's different than your home, right? Different, not the same kind of. But the principle would be that in a place, in a corner, like obviously beforehand you're cleaning the house and preparing everything. So, you swept in the middle of the floor, but it could be in a corner somewhere, right? We once had on Pesach by the heating element, the furnace, not the furnace, the radiator. Thank you. A Cheerio came out on Yom Tov. That's a crevice, right? Underneath the radiator that, it came out. Obviously, we didn't check properly. Right. Even though we clean there and everything, but that's the halacha. That's what we do.
You did your best.
You said that, I did. I said, obviously not. All right, listen. One thing we did, we try. The Alter Rebbe had a one-room house, let's say the size of this, right? He spent a whole night searching. We don't do that a whole night.
Yeah, studio.
Yeah. All right. Number 5. A hole in the middle of the wall of the house between a person and his colleague should be searched by both individuals. Back then, they used to have, semi-detached homes, and they had very thick walls, right? And they had holes in the walls. Why they would have holes in the walls? Storage. Right? The homes were small, Halachically, you know what a home is? The smallest size of a home that is considered a home. 6 feet by 6 feet. It's enough for one person to have a bed there and sleep. Right?
I'm 7 feet by 7.
He's over and above. A luxurious. Uh, so they in the wall there was storage. That's again, this is the way it was back in the day. We don't have that today, but back in the day, so you'd have to check there. But the hole went through and through. It was so thick that you couldn't get your hand through to the next person, which is interesting.
Through and through. Wow.
Well, you know what? I shouldn't say that. The house between person and colleague should be searched by both individuals. Well, both individuals, yeah. That would suggest that it goes through and through. For both may use it, right? Each searching the extent that his hand reaches. Okay, because that's all you need, right? What if you put in a candy bar there, right? You store it there and you stored a candy bar. Right? Back then they didn't have candy bars, but whatever, you understand what we're saying. I mean they did, but not the. Anyways, so you may have left it there, and accidentally on Yom Tov, you're gonna take it. Hey, look at this and eat it. Not only that, you've nullified it, so it's considered dust of the earth. But now you might take it and eat it, and therefore that's why you have to make this search. But it's only as far as your hand goes, because beyond your hand, you're not gonna get anything that you might eat. So afterwards, each person must nullify in his heart any comments in the remaining portion. By the way, we don't do it in our heart. We verbally say it, right? Kol chamira v'chamia de'isa. Right? This applies to the whole wall separating two Jewish homes. However, a hole between a home of a Jew and a Gentile should not be searched at all, lest the Gentile fear that the Jew is casting spells against him. All that is necessary for him to do is to nullify it within his heart. Right? So non-Jew is going to see that you're going with a candle in that hole. He's going to be spooked out. What's the Jew doing? Right? Uh-oh, he's looking for blood for his matzah. Right? Any place where chametz is not brought does not need to be searched. Right? So in other words, if you we have a Passover kitchen in our house. We don't bring any chametz there. So we don't need to search there. Only where you might bring chametz, you have to bring, right? So Talmud speaks like of a wine cellar. A wine cellar, you don't bring chametz, but it's possible. Why? Because it could have been that you sent your servant down, a wealthy person had a servant, and you had a wine cellar. If you have a wine cellar, you got money, right? You sent your servant down to the wine cellar. He probably won't. He may have gone with a piece of bread in his hand and left it there because he had to bring up a few bottles and he put it on the side and he forgot it and he left it there. That's bread that might have been left there. Because of that, you have to search your wine cellar. If you're the only one who went into the wine cellar and you know for certainly that you never went with a piece of bread, right? If you're not certain, but if you know certainly, then you don't have to check there. Got it? Okay. Good. We will continue, but I got to go now. All right, folks. Amazing. Thank you all for sharing. God bless.